All right, we're back now with more coding. We're gonna start the project today, okay? So if you watch on YouTube, in sort of the 0-part video, we defined this diagram, right? Remember, the project will be to take one of the papers from my PhD, and we're gonna re-implement it. It's an AI paper. It's a diffusion model paper, so very applied AI, which we're gonna re-implement from scratch. We're gonna read the paper. It's not too hard. We're not gonna go into all the algorithmic details. We just care about clean coding, right? So just as a quick recap, we'll keep referring to this. We'll keep referring to this diagram every once in a while, but. And you'll always find the paper and the repo in the description of the video. Well, actually, in this video, we're going to create the repo. There is no repo, but there will be at the end of this video. So keep watching, hit that like button, subscribe, everything. Let's not care about that paper so much, right? So let's dedicate today's session just on creating the repo and initializing it with UV, and maybe adding a basic PyTorch dependency, and adding pre-commit hooks and typing, right? So all the blue stuff, these items, which are a gigantic part of clean coding, I think we can do this today. We'll take our time. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is we have nothing, right? So we should create the new repo. So the first thing you have to do is you need to log into your GitHub account, okay? And you just go to your repositories tab, and let me share that window. Okay, so you just go to your repositories tab and you hit the new repository button, okay? We're gonna do this, and you'll be the owner. Okay, so pick your own account here, and we're gonna give it a name. We're gonna call it DiSco minus MIMO, from diffusion score MIMO, right? My original PhD paper is MIMO channel estimation with score-based generative models, so which are also close to diffusion, right? So DiSco will kind of stand for it's a fancy acronym for diffusion score. We can leave the description. We can put diffusion and score-based generative models for MIMO channel estimation. There we go. We're gonna make this public, okay? No template. We're gonna, very important, because UV will initialize the folder for us. Not even a README. No git ignore. The license will pick something very permissive like MIT, okay? And that's it. We want to create this repository. So you hit the button. There we go. Okay. And then we're just gonna, you go here, you copy, and we're gonna check this out in the terminal. So we're done with the GitHub view. Okay, let me switch. Now let me switch to, let me open the coding editor actually. There we go. And we can turn the Firefox off, Chrome back on. All right. So what we want to do is, actually I rushed a bit. I created a folder, but I realized I should not have done that. So we're just gonna open a new terminal. Whoops. And we're gonna move one level higher, and we're actually gonna remove DiSco MIMO, yes to all. Okay. Did we remove it? We did not. DiSco MIMO. Yes to all. Oh, is it because I didn't create this? I'm sorry. Let's see. There's some technical hiccups here. What's happening? Oh, it's open another program. Okay, so we have to close VS Code and let's see. Okay, there we go. Now it's removed. I see. It was because you can't remove something that's open in VS Code. Sorry about that. So now we're back and let's open the terminal. Let's see where we are. Okay, we're here, and then we can finally paste our command, which is git clone into DiSco MIMO. Okay, and that's it. We're in the repo now. Okay, let's open the folder in VS Code 2. Okay, there we go. So we only have the license and nothing else. And basically the very first thing we have to do here is we installed UV, okay? But it's always good to, let's just do that. Let's try to force update UV, right? So we're gonna go UV install. Actually, we don't need, we can close the paper, okay? And then we can just, you can just copy this command and paste it in the PowerShell. So let's do that. Let's see if this works. Okay, it's actually gonna update UV. The other way to do it is if you already have UV, and you can also use the command, but you can also do UV self update, which updates itself, but we're already on the latest. Okay, so now we're here and we're gonna init the project. Now, one thing I wanna do is I'm gonna make this a Python 3.13 project, not quite 14. We can leave the upgrading to 14, which is UV makes it very seamless in itself. We can leave that for another time. The reason why I want to do that is because I know the original repo is on a much older Python. I believe it was 3.9. So, although it doesn't really matter, actually, why am I saying this? Maybe not because of this. Maybe stuff like pre-commit hooks. Yeah, let's stay on 3.13. It's a bit more stable maybe than 3.14. Much more things should work. Okay, there we go. It's initialized. It also made a README. This is why we did not make a README ourselves. Okay, it also makes a PyProject TOML, which we can edit the description ourselves. So diffusion, and let's make this consistent with the GitHub. So score-based. MIMO channel estimation. Okay, I believe this is what we set the git description to. And one thing I don't like is I like to pin the Python. So instead of greater or equal than 3.13, we're just going to put it 3.13.0. Although this Python version does pin it. So this is probably not needed. And there's no dependencies, and it made a main for us, which we can already run. So we can do UV run main.py, which now installs Python by itself and generates a log file too. And that's it. So we are on main. Let's upload all these files. Okay, so we're gonna add an empty README, main, PyProject, and UV lock, and the Python version file. Okay, and we're gonna call this initial commit. It's really the first one. Okay, now this is a really bare repo. One thing I would like to do is first, I don't like I like my scripts to live in SRC, so that's an official Python recommendation. Actually, let's take while we're starting from scratch, this is a good chance. Let's look for idiomatic Python project structure. I think we did this in another video, but these are the official. Well, I don't know if these are the official docs actually. Is there a PEP or something that is an official recommendation? Not really. It's this person's guide, but I think we found this before. We have the license set up. Yeah, these are old. So let's look Python project structure. PEP. There is no single official Python project structure, but Interesting. The one I would like to use is, here it is, a modern project layout. Okay, so src, project name, init, and tests, git ignore, by project readme license. Okay, so 3 of these we have. We have the UV log tool. So what I am not happy with is that UV places this main right at the root level. So instead we're gonna create a new folder called src. And I may deviate also here a bit. I'm gonna create a nested folder. I'm not gonna call it DiSco minus MIMO. I'm just gonna call it MIMO because we're gonna end up running a lot of commands from the command line. And if this is the module name, it's just shorter to type, right? Because we're gonna do, and okay, so now we're gonna cut this file and move it in this folder. Okay, so now what I'm talking about is now we're gonna run submodules with the UV run. Oh, nope, I forgot. We need to add a init.py. There we go. Now this is a proper Python module, okay? So now we're gonna run UV run -m mimo.main. And this doesn't work because it has to be named like this then? Perhaps. So maybe our thing didn't really work here, right? So it has to be DiSco MIMO, which is kind of unfortunate. Whoops. DiSco. No. Again. No, this one neither. Does it UV run -m DiSco MIMO.main? Well, it's definitely not this. We can rename this back to MIMO. So let's see, what trouble are we having here? So I usually like to cache clean this. So UV run -m MIMO dot. Interesting. Well, we can go to the UV docs then. UV run module. So is there a -m section here? There is no dash section. Python run module. We're missing something by the module's name in your. Of course, we need to reinstall. We need to run UV sync again. And we need to rename our name in the Pi project to be MIMO. There we go. And we can do UV log. So now if we do UV run -m MIMO.main, and I need a build system, very important. Okay, so I remember now. So we need a build system because we're working with modules, okay? So that's another essential part. This is not gonna work, but then we can just do UV build system. And we're gonna use the UV build backend. And we just need to add these lines to our Pi project toml. And we're also gonna split the dependencies. Okay, and let's see. We're gonna UV sync again. There we go. So now it builds our package as a module. Okay, and it's called MIMO. The name is synchronized, and we can finally do UV run -m module MIMO.main. Hello. Okay, very good. And it's hello from MIMO, right? Okay, so in conclusion, gotta remember the UV build system in Pi project toml. You always need a build system, but UV comes with its own build system called UV build. So that's all self-shipped. Okay, let's commit the changes. So now we have a proper module, right? We add src MIMO init and main.py. Okay, and we added Pi project and UV log. And we remove the main.py. Okay, and that's it. We can commit build system and module. There we go. We're almost close to getting this going with the pre-commit hooks, and one of the hooks we're going to use is no commit on main, which is going to be pretty interesting because right now we're committing on the main branch, which we should really not do. The other thing is we need a git ignore file, right? So we can add a dot git ignore file, and I wonder if UV has a way. Let's see, UV git ignore. Do they have any recommendations on what to put there? Not really. Yeah, so we definitely need the VMV. And let's look for Python git ignore. Okay, so a useful git ignore templates. We're just gonna take this public template then. Yeah, and I think we did this before. I don't know. Yeah, some of these are... No, we don't want all of these. Abstract, we don't need. PyCharm, we don't use. Python debug symbols, yes. We're not gonna use PyType, type checker, MyPy. No, we're not gonna use any of these. Make docs, rope, spider, we're not using these. Environments are very important. Sage, math active. I'm just cleaning this up a bit because we're not gonna use Pixie, no. PDM, no. Poetry, no. Yeah, we don't need these. We're not gonna use IPy or notebooks or builder. Sphinx, maybe. We're not gonna use Scrappy, Flask, Django. Translations, unit tests, fine. Installer logs, PyInstaller, no, we don't need these. Pretty much just need the virtual environment, right? That's by far, we don't need Sphinx either. We don't need PyPackages. Python rough, we do need PyPyRC. We don't know what these are. Okay, so this is pretty clean. Unit tests, maybe, yeah, this we may use. Distribution packaging, yes, this is important. C extensions we do not need. Why compiled, yes, we want to ignore any PyCache. Let's see. So now if we go to a terminal, what do we see in status? Okay, there we go. Nothing, the PyCache doesn't show up anymore, so everything is good. The VMV doesn't show up either, so then we can just do git add. Let's commit this, git ignore, commit sham add git ignore file. Okay. And I believe we are done with the basic repo setup. Now, the interesting thing is we've been committing to main. So one of the big things is we're not going to be allowed to commit main. And let's move on to pre-commit, which is a whole different thing. But we're actually going to do a trick. We're first going to use the old pre-commit, but then we're going to switch to something even newer called pre-K. So what the heck is, so let's go back to the diagram. So UV, Py, Project Toml are in pretty good shape. We don't have any dependencies. Our main script is just hello world. Let's get down to pre-commit hooks, which is very, very important, okay? In professional development. So what is pre-commit? Well, a quick Google search, and if you go to the official website, it's just a way to add, is a multi-language framework used to manage and maintain Git hook scripts, which automatically run linting, formatting, and tests before code is committed, right? So this is sort of going to be our coding assistant in a way, because every time we're going to try to add, we're going to add code to the repository, and when we commit it, we want these checks to run and tell us if our code is formatted right, and ideally also automatically format it for us, right? And lint the code, clean it up, make sure the styling is consistent, and later down the road, you can also check for secrets. You can prevent committing on the main branch, and again, later we're going to talk about typing, where actually a lot more checks are happening. And let's see, so how do we install pre-commit? Well, first and foremost, we need it as a dependency, but then UV usually puts it as a development dependency, right? So UV, let's see how UV and pre-commit interact. Now there's a hook, which is not to be confused. Let's see, what is it here? Yeah, this is a hook. We don't care about this yet. So the first and foremost step is to add pre-commit to our development dependencies, right? And that's really easy. UV add --dev pre-commit, and we're done. So now we have our first dependency, okay? And it's actually a dev dependency. I should say our first secondary dependency, right? It's not actually needed for a user that wants to run the code. It's only needed if somebody ever wants to change the code and commit the change to the repo, like if they want to open a PR or something in our repo. And then the next thing we need to do is, I believe we need to run pre-commit. So see, and their docs are old, we don't have requirements txt, but we added it as a dependency. We have to run, where is the install? Oh no. We need to create a file named precommit.config.yaml. Okay, let's see. And we can generate the very basic sample config. So now because we're in UV, we can't just run pre-commit sample config. If I type pre-commit, it's an invalid command, I believe. Yep. But we're all isolated in UV, so we just do UV run pre-commit sample config. Okay, so this automatically creates oh, I see, it just gives us the config. Okay, so we're gonna have to, it still wants us to create the file ourselves, which is fine. So it's called .pre-commit-config.yaml, and we just paste this in it. Okay, and it comes with a bunch of default hooks which already do some checks to our code, right? So they are trailing whitespace, end of file fixer, check YAML, check added large files. We're not gonna need large files. YAML files were not, let's keep it, okay? End of file fixers we want, because we want these to be, it makes sure your files are consistent between Linux and Windows. Trailing whitespace, if we ever have code and you just have trailing whitespace here, it just cleans it up. That reminds me, we should, let's see, let's enable, let's see if we can view whitespace, if we can display it. Render whitespace, all, yes, okay, there we go, good. So now see if I have two spaces here, the pre-commit hook, and we'll try it out. It should clean those up, or at least warn us and not let us commit until we fix those. Although the formatter we use, and the linter and formatter will take care of those automatically, which is really nice. So we have the pre-commit config file. What else do they want? The full set of options. Okay, so then we need to run pre-commit install, but of course we just need to run UV run pre-commit install. Okay, and it installs the git hooks, and then we can run UV run pre-commit run all files. Okay, then now it's downloading the hooks and it's installing them. Every time we add a new hook, it'll install it, I think, once and for all. May take a few minutes. And is there anything else? Not really, right? So we just did run against all files to run. So we're adding new hooks. Let's see if it runs. Oh, there we go. So we passed the end of files and the trim trailing white space. Let's see what happens if we add some white space intentionally. I am curious. Oh, there we go. So we failed now, but it also changes the file for us, okay? So also important is that pre-commit only runs on files that are added to Git, right? If I make a new file here, let's make a new file called utils.py, and I say, what do I say here? Just import random, right? And I do space, and now I run uv run pre-commit all files. It still passes because this file is not in version control. But if I now do git add MIMO utils, okay, and now I do again the uv run pre-commit all files. Oh, there we go. It fixes both the white space and the end of file, which means all Python files should have an empty line at their end, okay? Good. Now we don't really want these utils, so we can just git remove MIMO utils for now. We're just gonna force remove it, right, from disk. We don't care about it. Okay, main is fine. It's still just a very, very basic print. We're gonna have to start working on this, but okay, so now the only other thing that's interesting for us in pre-commit is I believe there's an update here. Because the sample it had, I believe it's a bit old. The hooks are kind of at version 6. Oh, there we go, pre-commit auto update. So let's run uv run pre-commit auto update. Okay, there we go. So now it uploaded all the way from 3.20 to 6, which is pretty good. Okay, so we're done. But these hooks are really, really minimal. Like, where do we find more interesting hooks, right? Because, okay, sure, it helps to have it helps to clean up white spaces and to fix the end of files. But for professional development, we just Google pre-commit hooks, and it's nice because they give you a repo, which has a bunch of out-of-the-box hooks, and they show you how to add them. All you have to do is just add new ID lines, because this is the repo actually we're taking from, right? If we read this file, it's actually pointing to this repo. Okay, so let's see what other interesting hooks we want. Large files. We're not going to work with large files. No, we're gonna leave this to typing and more complicated. There are more specialized ways to check for a valid Python. We don't care about built-in literals, not yet. Case conflict. Yes, we do care about this. That will conflict like Mac or Windows FAT. No, we don't. Windows FAT is old. We don't care about this. Executables have shebangs. This we care about. Illegal Windows names. Very important because we're actually developing on Windows, and this is very, very helpful, right? So check illegal Windows names. Definitely care about this. And let's see if we have any illegal Windows names. No files to check. Okay. Interesting. I guess it's not seeing... Well, let's actually see what it's doing then. Pre-commit hooks. Check. Where is it? Windows? Oh no. Illegal? Interesting. I wonder what this code actually does. We don't really know. Doesn't seem to do anything, but sure. Attempt to load JSON files. Do we care about JSON files? Maybe not yet. We'll add these more. Merge conflicts, no. No. TOML we already have. VCS promos, no. XML YAML. Oh no, TOML we don't have. We want to check TOMLs too, right? Yes. We're checking YAMLs. We should check TOMLs too. So ID check TOML. Let's see if this... Okay, so this doesn't skip because we do have a TOML. Very important, the Pi project TOML. So we actually do want to check this. In case we modify it, this will warn us, hey, you can't commit this to GitHub because you broke it. And it's very, very important. This is critical for UV. Very good. I wonder why don't we see anything in illegal Windows names? Interesting. Okay, and what else? Maybe a few more. Let's see. There's one more I want. Debug statements. This is very important. This will not let you commit code that has breakpoints in it. And yes, for professional software development, we want this, right? Debug statements are very helpful for debugging, but they should never make their way in a commit, right? So this will not let, if I now add a breakpoint here, okay, and I run the pre-commit on all files, oh, it fails. So this will not let me commit. And let's actually see that in action now that we have this. So let's say we add, so first let's add the, okay, so git commit, add pre-commit. Oh, we already failed the file. Let's see. So now what it does is, even the pre-commit config YAML file itself failed the end of file fixer. So that's good. Now it cleared the end of file. There we go. Now we didn't try to add this, right? What if we try to add src MIMO main? Okay, and we say git commit -m update code. This won't let us because we have a breakpoint, and this now hard prevents us from having breakpoints in code. So that's exactly what we want, right? So let's restore it for now. We don't really want to, there's no updates we want to do, right? Okay. All right, any other basic interesting hooks? Detect AWS credentials. This is what I was saying earlier. This can detect if you leak keys, which is pretty useful. We're not gonna use AWS keys. We don't care about this. Private keys, end of file fixer we already have. Double quote strings, no. We'll leave this to the linter. File content sorter, no. Byte order, no. No. Replace or checks. Aha, we do want this. Well, it's not, okay. So yes, we do want the mixed line ending because this is how we finally get rid of those annoying Git warnings that we keep seeing, okay? And now this also has a config option, and we're gonna do fix auto. Which I don't remember how to specify. I think you go like nested like this, right? Maybe no. Fix auto, no. I don't know how to write YAML then. That's my bad. Okay, we'll figure this out. Let's see. This is fine for now. Oh, we need a new line because otherwise the... So let's run the commit. Let's see what this does, if it works like this. Okay, no issues with mixed line ending, everything passed. We will want to add that fix though. Although I believe rough takes care of that, so the formatter will take care of that when we get to it. No commit to branch is a very, very important one, right? Main and master, okay, this is one we want. So now we're gonna do a trick here. Once I add this, this is extremely important for Git, okay? Because now, okay, so let's see. I add pre-commit config YAML because I want to have these on my Git, and I say add more hooks. Well, a few changes happened. Okay, so let's add the changes tool. Let's try to commit again. Nuh-uh. So now we are banned from committing to main. Okay, so this is critical for clean code development. So now we can actually finally use Git because we can do Git check. Well, we're gonna have to check out branches. Okay, more, or let's more pre-commit hooks. Okay, and now I'm on this branch. I can finally run my commit, and it's my job to merge the branch back into main now. Okay, so this is a basic, a very, very basic, and let's push the branch. Oops, sorry, not here. Let's push the branch too. So usually I do git push, and it's not gonna work on new branches, but it tells you how to fix it. So git push, set upstream. And now our repo has two branches. The one we're working on right now is called more pre-commit hooks, and that's it. So these are the basics of how to set up a project, and we're already in pretty clean code land. So yeah, pretty nice so far with basic pre-commit hooks. And so to continue next time, we'll talk about more advanced hooks, and we're gonna start looking into rough, which is a formatter which automatically formats Python code. And maybe we'll add our first dependency too. We'll start writing some very basic sketch code, and we'll see how rough works, and maybe typing too. And that should be it. So already we're off to a strong start. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, leave comments if there's any issues. Repo is going to be in the description, everything. All right, thanks for tuning in.